Hiya, it's Tracy from Tracy's Creative Place here. I thought I'd show you a video on the latest card that I've made for Into Crafts as a part of their DT. And I will show you what I've been working with because it's new, but this is the card we're going to make today. Okay, so I'll pop that to one side and I'll just run through the recipe with you. So I was asked to work with these, sorry about the glare from above, these new stamps that are coming out from Woodware. They're due out in the next couple of days. They're going to be featured on Hachanda on the 13th of May. As I said, I got them from Into Crafts to work with, so lucky me. These are called Bold Blooms / Amanda. Now, I know obviously you can see how they look. They're really, really pretty and they're quite basic, you know, sort of basic shapes. So they're going to be great for making other types of flowers. So I thought for the first one there's going to be a few videos making different flowers out of them, but for the first one, like I said, I'd try and make something that resembled a rose. So I think I achieved that. The roses on this card are pretty cute. I'll lift them up a bit so you can see them. I'm going to go through how you make it, right? But first, for the rest of the card, I've also used this memory box die. It's called Bramble Circle. It's quite an old die. But you don't really need to have that. You can leave it off, or you can just use a couple of your spellbinders together, you know, and make yourselves a couple of frames in different colours, because that goes around the actual centerpiece, but we'll come to that as we go. I have also used this really cute chipboard. It came like that. I know it's got a big clock in the middle, but I actually am going to take the clock out and not use that. It's just the frame I want for now. This came from crafteasy.co.uk. That's a really lovely place to get your chipboards from. What else? Oh, the papers. Yeah, the papers. They are delightful. It's from this pad by Anna Marie Designs. I think they come in 12x12 and 7x7. 7x7 is quite a nice one because you can layer it up, mat and layer it up and put it on an 8x8 card. It says blissful teal. Teal to me is actually blue, but these are more of a grey with a bluey tinge. This is the third pad I've had out of them. They're 250 GSM and the papers are exquisite. So I've got them in the green and pink as well, which is really, really nice. The rest of it really is just cardstock, and so we'll crack on. Okay, we've got an 8-inch card. Okay, we need a white base layer, which we will colour with ink in a minute, which is 19x19. We will then need another white layer, which is 18x18, and then a piece of the actual papers out of the pad. So if we get all that going and get the colouring done, then that can be drying as we do the rest of the flowers and everything. So I've got an old shabby bit of card there now because I want to take an ink pad. This happens to be a Stampin' Up one because it's quite a good colour match. It's smoky slate. I didn't really have a distressing colour that matched it, you know, this pad, so this is why I'm using this. So just take your ink pad basically and colour the edge is what you need to do. It doesn't have to be really perfect. This is going to be a matte layer, so as long as you've got it covered and it matches the rest of the colour of the cards and all that you're using, you don't really need to use your ink and carry on doing all that. Just the outside's fine. Just give it a hint of colour. This is quite an old ink pad. I've had it for ever such a long time. I mean, if you wanted to, you could go in with your black soot and just give it a little bit more in the corners, because that's like a bluey, or a weathered wood, either one of them. But I'll leave it as is. It's quite fine like that. So that layer now, 19x19 layer, is going to sit on top of there. So I shall pop that on. Using Cosmic Shimmer. I bought a little nozzle for it from Chloe's Creative Cards. It does okay, but it takes an awful lot of squeezing. So if you've got some dexterity probs, then I don't think it's a good idea to get one of those, but on it goes. Okay, so next layer is going to be the white one. So I'll pop that one in and then they can all be drying as we start on the rest of them. Okay, give yourself a nice border, stick it down. And then you can actually go ahead and pop on. Now this hasn't been cut or cropped or anything. It's just been left as is, straight from the pad. And it's a 7x7, like I said, 17.5 centimeters square. So we'll pop that one on. And that can all be then sat to one side while we get on with the rest of it. So there we are. Now we'll come to the flowers. Okay, the leaves and flowers from the set, all I've done with the leaves really is stamp them out in a green ink, used a bit of sponge and put some ink over the top. I'm not really bothered that they haven't got any total coverage. Quite like them looking like that. So we've got a selection. I think it's just the one size of the leaf, but there is two sizes of leaf. And I've cut out some of the flowers. Now, when you stamp these, obviously you get the image of the stamp in the middle. This is quite pale because I've used a grey ink, a very pale grey ink. So if I bring it up to the camera, you can see the detail in the middle. So if you want to do these and you don't actually want that detail in the middle, then the thing to do is stamp one, put two pieces of paper together and cut the two pieces out at once. So the second one is the same shape, but without the stamp detail in the middle. And then all I've done with that then is gone round the edges with, I think that this one is black soot. It was just what was left on the pad. I didn't put any more on it. I've just kind of gone around it. So now if I show you how I've shaped them, pretty easy really. Ball tool. I've got a couple of sizes in this one. There's about 4 of them. The rest are in the drawer down here. Big one's really handy, but it's about £4 off of eBay, I think, because they're actually sugarcraft tools. And all I've done with the leaf, to shape the leaf, is go around the outside of it first, just to wrinkle up, you know, crinkle up the paper, and then I've just pulled it quite tightly down. I mean, it doesn't take much to do that. I quite like that look. With the flowers, I start by going around the outside with a smallish one, like I've just there, and then across the middle to wrinkle the edges. I do that on all of the petals. It just takes a little bit of pressure really. It's not difficult to do. There we are. And then take a bigger size one and do what you did with the leaf and just pull it in. Okay, pull it in. And then turn that one over. There is actually a video on my YouTube channel, a video where I'm working with a different flower set. I think it was the Ariana Bloom's one. Check it out because it's exactly the same as what I'm going to do now. And then in the middle, just push it, and you get some dimension to it. As you can see, you get some serious dimension to it. Now, that's how you do all of the leaves, all of the petals rather. But this is how you do the bud. Okay, so again, use the smaller one. It's easier with the smaller one to start with. Do round the sides, get it wrinkly across the top. You're kind of destroying the fibres of the paper, really. Get it wrinkly around the sides. Now this one, because it's going to form the bud, you need to try and get it to wrinkle in as much as you can, so it's quite a lot of pressure. Each one, you're working on the inside of it and pulling it down, basically just pulling it down towards you so it wrinkles up. Now, to form the bud, you just push it together like that. So what you tend to do is glue the opposite sides. Now, I've got some hot glue on the go. Be careful because you can burn yourself with this, obviously, and you get some nasty burns from it. So just, if you push two opposite sides together and hold it while it sets, then you can just start overlapping the other ones up. You just don't want it to open and you don't want to see the inside of it really. So you just fold them in, and once they're all in, this last one usually keeps them all together. And then once you've got it together like this, just hold it for a little while. And there's your bud. Now that's quite a large one. I did a large one, obviously. There's 3 sizes of flower in the stamp set, but I used the large one so you could see. And then all you would do then would be to glue that in there and carry on layering up your flowers. Okay, so that's how you've done your flowers. So as you can see, I have already done 3 of them. When you're doing your flowers, just offset the leaves, the petals. Sorry, I might use this one actually on here. So you just offset them like that, and then give them a push in the middle. So that one makes that one slightly larger now. Okay, so I've got 3 flowers and I've got the leaves. So basically I kind of got everything that I need ready made. Now it comes to the chipboard. Now the chipboard isn't the colour that I want it. They very rarely are, unless you're doing a piece that sort of browns. So I've cut out 2 of the branches as well, one of which I've put a bit of colour on already to start us off. And all I'm going to do, and I don't mind if it's not fully coloured, just run your ink pad around it. I don't mind if it's got a bit of white on it, but basically the same thing goes with this. Just rub your ink pad across it until you get some colour that you want. It's quite not flimsy. Oh, just make sure you're doing it on the right side as well, so that your numbers are right, which I didn't. Otherwise it would have been completely wrong. Okay, so there we are. Just put some ink on it. You can use your daubert as well to colour it up. I just wanted to have a greyish tinge really, so it matches the rest of it. But I also, because the papers have got a little bit of pink in it, I've got picked raspberry, which is, I haven't added any to it, it's just from when I've used it in the previous. And I'm just going to put a little bit of pink here and there on it as well. You can't really see it now, but once it goes on the card you can see it really quite well. Okay, just put a few dabs on it. As I said, we're not going to see the middle, and it doesn't matter that it's done that because it's going to be glued down. Okay, so now we've got all the components except the panels. Now I've got 3 panels. I've just used the same one of the pieces from there, and I've cut myself 3 strips. The strips are 4.5 centimeters by 16 centimeters, and then I've cut myself some white backs to go on them, so for a white matten layer to go around them. So they're going to sit on here. Now the backings are 5 centimeters by 17 centimeters. Okay, just make sure you've got them in the right order as you cut them off the piece, otherwise they'll look a bit daft. So okay, I'm going to glue these on to the panel. It's quite an easy card to make, this one, and it looks really, really nice, I think. So there we are. 1, 2. Just try and get them central, so you've got my eye roughly the same gap all the way around. And glue this one down, so you've got 3. I did make a 4th one, a 4th panel, slightly thinner, just an offcut really, and it's going to sit across there, but again it has to have a white layer. And that panel is for me was 4 centimeters by 17, but you can make it whatever size you like, smaller, thinner. Don't have to put it on if you don't want to. You can just sort of adapt it. There we are. So that's that panel as well. Now on these I've got some foam tape because I want to add a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to take all the backings off and then show you the easiest way I've found to put these on, so that they are roughly evenly spaced. So if you just run a little bit of this along as well, like usual, I use a cheap foam tape because I use so much of it, and just to make sure it doesn't come off, I put a bit of that on, plus it gives you some wiggle room. Okay, if you take the middle panel, right, and then if if you centre it in the middle as best you see it, drop it down. Don't stick it down properly just now. You can lay the other one alongside of it. I haven't stuck them, I've just placed them. And then you can see whether you need to move them across a little. And when you're happy with them, that'll do, down they go. Okay. And then this one is just going to sit across the two there. So I'm just going to put some glue on this end and some glue on this end and a bit in the middle. So place it where you want it. That'll do fine. So we've got the basics of the card. I mean, it looks really pretty as well if you do the in one colour with embossed panels, or you can add a bit of bling to the embossing with some gilding wax, or you know, you can take it as far as you like, but I really like this paper, so I wanted to use it. So now we have this. This is going to go on around about there. Okay, so we can apply some glue. I'm going to use a bit of hot glue. If you use it down in the corner, just here, just there, your flowers are going to go over there and it'll hide it. Okay, it'll hide the glue. There we are. And the other way to do it, of course, is to use an old piece of card, put a bit of glue on the edge, and then just gently dab it in there. You don't want to put too much on. And then this bit will stick down as well. There you are. Okay, so we've got that on where we need it now. Right, now these little brambles, like I said, I have one in white and one in grey. So I'm first going to put the white one down, and all I wanted to do really is to go around this. It's circular and the actual thing is oval, but that's okay, because if you take your hot glue gun and just put a little bit, as I said, your flowers are going to cover all of these bits, and then just stretch it out to round to the other side, so it's kind of in a circle. This was probably the most awkward part of it all. And then again, use your little, put some glue on and press it down. You can make the circle as wide or as narrow as you like. Just put the glue down, press it down. Move that up a little bit. There we are. And the same with the grey circle. Just nip it at some point in half and lay that one on top. So it's kind of in the same place. There we are. Little fiddly, but worth it. I don't mind that it's not all totally stuck down either, because I quite like the dimension. There we are. So we've got that round it now. Okay, now I took two spellbinder circles and made a frame, and that frame is going to sit on there, okay, to hide the clock face. You could take it out and use it another time on some mixed media piece. I just use the same papers. If you don't have many or plain papers, you can just cut it in plain white and do the same thing we did before with the ink around the outside, and just colour that up just to hide the numbers. Okay, and then out of those two I cut a white one, which is out of this smaller one, which is going to sit exactly in there, and that is where I'm going to stamp the sentiment. Okay, so it's, the sentiment is thank you, could be anything, whatever you want, but as soon as it's from the set, a huge thank you, it says actually. So I'm going to just pick that up with my rocker block, central, use the same ink that we've used throughout, and stamp in the middle a huge thank you. There you are. It's quite faded, quite muted, but I don't mind that. The original one I did it in black, I think, and I did actually think it was a little bit too harsh. So Bit of hot glue on the back, and then you can pop it over that clock face, and there's your sentiment. Right, also it isn't actually my card unless it's got some of them on it. I quite like them. And also it's not my card if it hasn't got a bow on it, so we need to get some ribbon out and do a bow. We shall do that in a moment. Okay, so I shall put on my flowers now. I'll show you how I place them. So there we are. Big one right there. There we are. Okay, and then we're going to put the other two, covering up all that, alongside of them. Before we do that, I want to tear into these. We don't need all of it coming up there, so I'm going to lay it on. I've even got the wax paper still on there, look. There we are. From when I cut it out. So do find wax paper really, really handy when cutting these things out. So that's going to sit there. Okay. So this, the weight of this, will glue that down. Pull it in. There we are. Now if you find your roses are opening a little, you can always put a little bit of glue at the base just to pull the leaves, the petals. I'll keep calling them leaves. Pull the petals up a bit so it gives them a little, you know, so they're sitting up nicely. If you think they're a bit too far away. It looks like somebody sat on these overnight. There we are. I'll just pull this one up. See, it does make a difference pulling them up. There. And again, with these, that would be way too big on there, so I'm going to chop it in half and do exactly the same with it on the other side. Take off the wax paper. There we are. So we're left with two little frondy bits there. This will get hidden behind the flower as it has on that side. There we are. Okay, we've got two little bits left, so I'm going to pop these in there on both sides, hidden by the flowers again, just so you've got a bit of detail there. Yep, wax paper still on it. And then I'm going to feed that one in on that side so it sticks out there. So it's to me that kind of evens, balances it out. Now there's lots of other things you could do. You could pop some of these cute little white things in. If it was Christmas, I would probably pop some of them in, but we need to pop some leaves in now. So again, hot glue them, and we're just going to pop them in underneath the flower petals so they're peeping out from there. I really find it difficult to do random, so a lot of my stuff is really, really symmetrical. So wherever I pop one in one side, I pop it in the other. So we've got two. There we are. Okay. And then I'm going to pop one underneath that. There, I think. And just one more off on the other side, underneath there. I think that'll do it. Right, so I did promise you a bow. I've got some really, really nice grey thin ribbon and a bow maker. Now, this is my go-to bow maker. It's me Crafty Bows bow maker. Many moons ago, I entered one of my cards in a challenge that Crafty Bows had in America online, and I won. And not long after, the boss Donna asked me to be on the DT, which was amazing. And the prize was a Crafty Bows maker. And I've been on the DT and I've used this Crafty Bows maker ever since. It's a really, really great piece of kit. There's loads of videos online on how to use it. You can make tassels. Obviously, you can see you can do the different size bows on here, but it's really, really easy to do. And you can do multiple bows on it as well. So I know it's from aerial view, but there's many ways you can do this, but this is the way I do it. When I'm only doing a double bow or a double looped bow, I do it this way. I just wrap it round and then snip off the excess that I don't need here. Okay, so I've got now 2 loops. Okay, I just slide one under, catch it, bring it over and tie it. Right, tie it like that, and then you can just get your head over the top and see if your loops on either side are the right length, and then pull it tight. Remove it, and then I tend to put my fingers in them, both sides, and push towards the middle, because that gives you some serious dimension on your bow then, see. And then you've got your 2 tails, which will come down there. Now I fold them in half with the open part of the fold upwards and snip it in a triangle shape. Okay, upwards like that, and then you end up with your really V shapes at the bottom. Now usually my bows are all fluffy and puffed up and all the rest, but this time what I want to do with it is just kind of bend it down in the middle, and I'm going to slot it with some hot glue on it. I'm going to put the hot glue on first, and then I'm just going to lift up the flower and pop it underneath just for a wee second while it holds, and then I'm going to just sort of flap it out a bit, mess with it a bit till it looks cute. And there you go. Now the only other thing to do to this now is to put some pearls on. I have these rows of pearls, which is handy for lining up, because they're on an adhesive strip, so it's really quite easy. I do it in 3s, usually with a pokey tool. So if you pick one up, you usually pick the 3 of them up at once, and then all I'm going to do is pop them, I think, on here in a line. Hopefully it'll go straight. There we are, on the edges of the panels. Either side there. Now on the original one I put some around there, but I'm not going to do that on this one. I'll bring the original one in and you can decide for yourself whether you like it or not. And I will put, I think, just to finish it off, just there. There we are. Not to take away all the glue strings, and show you the original one. There we go, side by side. You see what I did with this one is I did a black sentiment, and then I did an overstamp with the pale grey just to give it a shadowed effect. I don't know that you can see it picking it up on camera, but there it is in black, really quite outstanding. And do you know, in all truth, I kind of preferred it with the grey because it's kind of muted. But there's the 2 cards. I hope you like them, and then you'll give it a go. And if you do, let me see. Also on this pink one, I put a couple of stamens in, which I haven't done on the second one. But I think it's quite a cute card. And if you do make one, you know, put it on the blog. Let Into Crafts know, because they have a Facebook page where they like you to share all what you make. Check out their Facebook page and shop, actually, because the prices are pretty amazing, to be fair, for all things associated with Sue Wilson and Woodware, plus others. And the service is pretty neat as well. It gets there the next day normally. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and that's all from me. So bye.